In 1625, at the outbreak of war with Spain, King Charles became King of Scotland, Ireland and England, and he was quick to anger the English Parliament. Within just a year, he had already dissolved one Parliament and married a Catholic in this worried a Protestant nation. He dismissed another Parliament in 1626 when they tried to impeach the Duke of Buckingham for supporting the French in suppressing the Protestant Huguenots. And he dismissed his third Parliament in 1628 after they condemned the king's taxes and any leniency towards Catholicism. Charles then ruled without a Parliament for over a decade. That is until, in 1638, Charles demanded that the Anglican Book of Common Prayer was to be used in Scotland, and this caused the outbreak of the Bishops' War. Scottish troops moved across the border and into Northumberland. Now, Charles, needing money, then recalled Parliament in 1640, but it only lasted 3 weeks because Parliament demanded the withdrawal of ship money, a tax on towns to maintain the English navy. But the Scots then occupied land as far south as Durham, so Charles was forced to recall Parliament again, the Long Parliament. This time the king had to accept their demands, including the Triennial Act, which forbid the king from dissolving Parliament without their consent. Peace was soon made with Scotland. However, in 1641, the Irish also rebelled, and this nationalist and religious uprising soon turned to war. Meanwhile, Parliament, led by John Pym, sent a list of their grievances against the king in the Grand Remonstrance. However, the Grand Remonstrance divided Parliament, as many saw it as too Puritan and populist. Charles rejected the grievances and, in early 1642, marched soldiers into the House of Commons hoping to arrest 5 influential MPs, but they had fled. Charles had now lost control over Parliament and over the city of London, so he fled the capital. The population soon began to divide. The Royalists gained the backing of the Catholics, anti-populists, anti-Puritans and the nobility, mainly from the north and the west. The Parliamentarians gained the support of the middle class, merchants and staunch Protestants in the south and east. In August 1642, after small skirmishes and failed peace talks, the king finally raised his standard in Nottingham, officially starting the war. During the first season of campaigns, the Parliamentarians were able to stop the Royalists from taking London. However, the Royalists made large gains in the west thanks to their Welsh and Cornish allies. In 1643, the king made peace with the Irish and brought his troops to help in England. But at the same time, Parliament signed the Solemn League and Convent with the Scots. They promised to reform the Church of England in line with Scottish Protestantism in exchange for military assistance. The Scots moved into the north of England and lay siege to York. In 1644, the Royalists tried to relieve the city, but their armies were devastated at the Battle of Marston Moor. This battle also helped parliamentarian Oliver Cromwell rise to prominence and put the north under Parliament's control. Then, in early 1645, the parliamentarians created the New Model Army, a well-disciplined army led mainly by Puritans. This new army crippled the Royalist forces at the Battle of Naseby and took control of the southwest after the Battle of Langport. They then lay siege to Charles's headquarters in Oxford. Charles escaped the city in disguise and surrendered to the Scots in 1646, but he was soon handed over to the English and was imprisoned for most of 1647. However, there was infighting amongst the parliamentarians. The army seized the king and then retook London after Presbyterians protested against the army being in the city. Parliament then engaged in the Putney debates concerning the new constitution. In this chaos, Charles escaped to the Isle of Wight. From there he made a deal with the Scots, who were worried about the events in England. In 1648, the Scots and Royalists started the Second Civil War, but the New Model Army crushed them in less than a year. The leaders of the army were now unwilling to see Charles return to power, so in December 1648, soldiers blocked MPs lenient to the king from entering the house. The new Rump Parliament moved the king to London and put him on trial for treason. He was quickly found guilty and executed in January 1649, and the Commonwealth of England was formed. But King Charles's son, soon to be Charles II, made an alliance with the Scots and Irish. Cromwell responded to this alliance by invading Ireland, beginning the Third English Civil War. His brutality in Ireland left around a quarter of the Irish population dead. Then, in 1650, now head of the army, Cromwell invaded Scotland and took Edinburgh. But as Cromwell campaigned at the north, Charles II landed in Scotland to lead the uprisings. The king's armies were pursued and defeated at the Battle of Worcester in 1651, ending the English Civil Wars. But by 1653, the army grew frustrated with the new Rump Parliament, so Cromwell marched troops into the house and dissolved it. The Barebone Parliament took its place, but that too failed, and Cromwell was offered the position of Lord Protector.